What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Junior Mafia coming back to you with another video. So we gotta talk about what happened on Backlash today. And like I said, this was a solid show. There's a lot that I want to unpack about this and whatnot, and I definitely don't want to waste any time. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. So we had the fatal four-way match to kick off the show. And you had Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight versus your United States champion Jacob Fatu. And towards the beginning of the match, it was just head-on collision, back and forth action, and whatnot. So it turned out pretty good. I love some spots they had on there, especially the one where pretty much everybody hitting a finisher. So it was a spot where Jacob Fatu was on the top rope and Drew McIntyre was like leaning and whatnot. When it looked like he was about to do a move in the air, Drew McIntyre ends up countering that and end up throwing Jacob Fatu. So it looked like a swanton bomb, for crying out loud. So he ends up hitting LA Knight, gets up, proceeds to do a hip attack onto Drew McIntyre. And once that happens, LA Knight ended up hitting him with a BFT. And then Damian Priest ended up hitting LA Knight with the South of Heaven. And then, of course, Drew McIntyre hit Damian Priest with a Claymore kick. And I love the connection with all their finishes. And towards the so in the end of the match, we had a spot where Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre was fighting on the outside, like in the crowd area, and they ended up getting on the production crates. So, having a battle of fisticuffs, but of course Damian Priest get the upper hand. And once he did, that was the green light for him to hit, excuse me, Drew McIntyre with the South of Heaven onto the tables. And the impact of that one was so brutal. It's crazy to take a spot like that, but you got to commend them for doing that. And pretty much they was done for the whole duration of the match. So you got pretty much the JAG security guards coming out there, checking on them and all that stuff. Meanwhile, as that's happening, you see LA Knight and Jacob Fatu battling it out. And of course, LA Knight get the upper hand. He goes and put Jacob Fatu onto the announce tables, and he goes over on the top rope. Might have hit his famous elbow drop. So as that's about to happen, you see Solo come out of the crowd, pulls Jacob out of off the announce table, and of course, LA Knight gonna confront him like, "Yo, like, what are you doing? What are you doing here?" So, of course, this was probably Solo playing on the lawn to probably, lure LA Knight into his trap, which executed perfectly because as LA Knight was proceeding to go towards Solo, out of nowhere somebody attacks LA Knight, and that ended up being Jeff Cobb. Somebody we don't know. And as that's happening, Jacob Fatu proceeds to look at him like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" And he couldn't worry about that all along because his main mission was to go pack up LA Knight and win the match, which he did so. So he proceeded to go on, bring LA Knight into the ring, hits the hip attack, hits his moonsault, and then after that, pins him for the 1, for the 2, for the 3, and he walks out still your United States champion. So after that match, you see Solo and you see Jeff Cobb, both of them standing by the ramp, waiting, for Jacob to pull up, and he is not acknowledging none of them. He don't even care, like, don't care at all, and just proceeds to walk through them. And I can't wait to see how that transpired on SmackDown, because I guarantee you, this might be the potential change for Jacob Fatu, but he become babyface. Because I don't envision a circumstance that Solo's still going to be side by side with him, especially how Jacob Fatu been operating. Let her know like we don't need any game plan. I already got one alone. So there's that. Then, you know, I heard about the history between Jacob Fatu and Jeff and the Indies and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure like is down to get brought up down the line. So I'm looking forward to it. But overall, I definitely like this match. It was very interesting. It was a good way to set up the show. Next, we had the women's Intercontinental Championship match between Lyle Valkyria and Becky Lynch, and man, they delivered in this matchup. They definitely delivered. A lot of spots that was pretty good in there. A bunch of manhandle slams that Lyle Valkyria was taking, and she ended up going on the offense as well. Becky Lynch also tried to take advantage of her by dragging her towards her fiance and all that, taunting her and all that stuff. So we got a little bit of mix of everything. And when it looked like Becky could have potentially won, it ended up going towards Valkyria's way. And I love this part where despite Valkyria taking too many manhandle slams, when it came down to the arm bars, it was reversed with the reversal. And when Becky Lynch tried to lock in the disarmer, ended up getting counted into a roll up. Did it switch to another roll up, then another roll up, until Valkyria hits another roll up on her for the 1, 2, 3, and that's just she coming up. She ended up retaining her title. But afterwards, but Becky being pissed off on how that whole thing went down, proceeds to go back to Valkyria, lock the disarmer back on her yet again, and kept the lock in until the JAG security guards came out there to try to break them up. Through the duration of the match too, because I forgot to bring this up too, it looked like Laura Kiria broke her nose. So we'll get more details on that come Monday Night Raw and see how that whole thing goes down. So there's that. But that was a very, very good match. I'll advise y'all to go check it out whenever I get a chance. It's worth your time. Next, we had the Intercontinental Championship match. Penta taking on Dominic Mysterio. And this was a very good match, too. They definitely delivered on this one as well. And I'm not going to lie. Dominic got some cheers. He got some cheer reactions out of this, which is still shocking to believe. And, the match was very solid, very high flying as we expected. And there was a spot I love, too, where Dominic, like he was going to do, he did a suicide dive and it got turned into a tornado DDT. So I think that was very dope. Penta also, I think he hit a meniscal driver, something like that, outside of the ring, which I think was very dope too, very dangerous as usual. And throughout the duration of the match, Judgment Day was going to get involved. Started with Carlito to distract the referee and all. And then you see JD McDonough and Finn Balor come out there too. And he has his chair. And you see Dominic holding up Penta. So Finn Balor has the chair. And when they're looking at the move, but they moving so slow, the referee to catch on. And because he's seen that, he told both Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Carlito that they had to get out of the arena. Or get out of the arena. So at that point they're done. So you think, all right, everything's gonna shift Penta's way. Long and behold, you see Andrade Americano goes up towards the top rope where Penta was at, headbutts him, I guess, with that metal plate that he has in his eye, and he drops down, which that ended up being Dominic's advantage to go hits the frog splash on Penta to pin him for the 1, the 2, and the 3. And that's how he is retaining his title. So it looks like we about to have a feud between Penta and El Grande Americano. So I got mixed feelings about it, and I truly hope that Penta comes out victorious if they end up going that direction with them feuding and all. Penta better come out there as the victor, bottom line. Because how would that look, him getting beat up countless times by Andrade Americano? Come on now. So Penta should be able to handle business with him. But Dominic ended up walking out as the champion, as we expected. So there's that. But moving on now to a match that I somewhat feel like it overstayed its welcome. And that match was Gunther taking on Pat McAfee. Now, for me, I thought this match was going to be short, and I was really looking forward to Gunther handling business and then getting up out of there. But salute to Pat McAfee. He held his own. He definitely had some offense in this match between a bunch of chops, kicks, big boots, and all that. So he was standing tall against Gunther and whatnot, even dropping him a couple of times. So it was pretty good, but you knew down the line things was going to change, especially when Gunther locks in and decides to really like stop playing and pack him up. So throughout the whole process of that, when you hear Michael Cole on commentary, who was pretty much telling Gunther, all right, you really beat him down and all that, pinned him and all, but he wanted Michael Cole to watch him make Pat McAfee suffer. So through the process of that one, he proceeds to go over there to pretty much, aid on Pat McAfee and kind of root for him, close to him. So you hear Wade Barrett let him know, like, Michael Cole, like, come back to commentary, like, it's not even worth it, So as Gunther has Pat McAfee in the Boston Crab, and he's trying to get towards the ropes, and you see Michael Cole motivating him to get towards the ropes to break it. Granted, rope breaks is not involved because this is a no-holds-barred match. So, again, where on God's green earth that you're going to see a rope break happen. So, I don't know about that. So, he ends up pulling him away, but some way, somehow, he ended up managing to get it off. So, Gunther looked at it in the sense of, all right, you're here, I'm going to pick you up, and I'm going to toss your ass into this ring. So he's trying to confront him and whatnot. And when it looked like he's about to send Michael Cole to the upper room, you see Pat McAfee once again coming to the aid of Michael Cole, big booting Gunther. And as that happened, of course, it wasn't going to affect Gunther that much. He ended up big booting Pat McAfee as well. So he ended up putting him in multiple sleeper holes and stuff like that. And Pat managed to get out of him. He even put a sleeper hold on him as well. But once Gunther locked in it, that one good time, and pretty much came down to the floor, and did not let that hold through. That's when you know it was the end of it. But Pat ended up still fighting. He tried to get out of it, but it was GG at this point, and he ended up passing out instead of submitting, and that was the end of the match. So afterwards, he ends up getting up and all that too, and Gunther ended up, sticking his hand out as a sign of respect, for going the distance with him. So Pat ended up shaking his hand, and Gunther went on about his business. And that was pretty much the end of it. Now, I will say this. I was definitely expecting some color in this match, especially how everything went down. And I'm talking about from Gunther's point of view. You got submitted at WrestleMania. You crashed out the Raw at the WrestleMania, packing up Pat McAfee and all that stuff. And then Pat pretty much called you out, talking his shit, let him know he's gonna embarrass you and all that, talking about how you took Sammy, how you took Jay, too lightly, and they end up beating you at WrestleMania. Now hearing all of that right now, and Gunther talking about destroying him, I expected more carnage. I expected some color as well. For him to make a bold statement that if you talk shit about me, saying I tapped out and all that stuff, or, I take my eye off the ball and I'm not the same I used to be and whatnot, I'm going to pack you up for your troubles. That's what we all anticipated for that to happen. That ended up being the case. And we just had a regular standard match. Because remember, Nick Aldis, when he made it, said a no holds bar. So I expected more from Gunther, and we didn't get it. So I'm like, it is what it is. Like, the right person won as we expected, but I just felt like how the whole match went down, we should have got more. It should have been more carnage, and it should have been some color. So I was a little disappointed on that one right there. But I'm just glad the right person won, which is Gunther, so now we can move forward. And last but not least, we have the main event match. John Cena taking on Randy Orton one last time. And Randy Orton coming out there, his home crowd, they are hyped, celebrating, singing his music and all that too. And Randy's just embracing it. And as that's happening, you hear John Cena music hits, you hear the John Cena sucks, all that stuff. So comes out there, and of course, he had Alicia Taylor announce some of the way how he wants to be announced and whatnot. I can't remember the whole thing, so I'm just gonna skip right past it. So the match starts, and like we all expected, it was gonna be some slow pace action from the two. And then we know down the line it's going to potentially pick up. So it was a bunch of counters after counters in the beginning of it, and afterwards, you see, John Cena hitting his 5 moves of doom as usual, and once that was done, then you see Randy hit his moves and all. So when he like about to get set up for the RKO, ended up being counted. No, he went to do the DDT off the ropes, but ended up getting countered. Cena went to try to do the attitude adjustment, and once he did, it got countered into the RKO. And as that was happening, both of them was knocked out. So the match started to really pick up more. Once you saw Randy starting to do the punt kick and everything, but Cena ended up getting out of it, hits him with the AA and whatnot. And instead of covering him, he proceeds to try to do his version of a punt kick. And as that's going along, of course, you know, Randy was going to counter it. So he counters it. Randy was for the RKO. And Cena was able to get out of that and push him into the ref. So he gets knocked down for a short amount of time. So as that was happening, this was the green light for Cena to hit the attitude adjustment on Randy Orton. So he did try to cover him, but the ref was knocked out. So now as that's happening, this is when Randy was able to take advantage of that one. So, you know, they had their back and forth moments, and then the ref gets up again. So now the action takes place outside of the ring. So as that's going on, and you know, see Randy look at it as a golden opportunity. Let me go ahead and take away everything, go off the announce table and stuff. And then once he did that, and then he proceeded to go to a Cena. Cena was able to counter it, and end up bumping into the ref yet again and knocking him out, which we thought he hit the steel steps, but that was never the case. So he was out for pretty much the tail end of the match. So as he was done, and John Cena looked to try to hit him with an AA on top of the announce table, which got countered, and Randy Orton ends up picking up Cena and hitting him with an attitude adjustment onto the announce table and stuff. So as that's happening, he managed to get Cena, brings him back into the ring, and as he's doing that, proceeds to hit this man with an RKO. So as he was to go cover him, again, no refs there and all that stuff. So another ref did come in there, and he tried to pin and ended up getting kicked out. So this time around, when it ended up happening, John Cena ends up getting the upper hand, and he decides to use this as an advantage to go outside the ring, grab the title, goes into the ring, and meanwhile, as that's happening, and you see Randy and Randy and the referee, having some talk, like some words exchanged between the two. And Cena looked at this as an opportunity to hit Randy with the title. So as he's about to proceed to go do that, Randy ended up ducking, hitting the other ref with the title, and he's knocked out for the time being. So now we don't have no wrestling, don't have no refs coming out again. And then you see Nick Aldis and the JAG security guards, everybody coming out there to check on the refs, which I'm going to touch on that once the end of I'll talk about the end of the match. So we had all of them come out there. Randy's pissed because he's like, yo, I got this man right where I need him to be. I RKO him, like, he's down for the count. So he gets pissed. And, of course, Randy, when he crashes out, you were going to expect him to hit a barrage of RKOs, and that ended up happening. Started with, like, all this, and everybody else followed suit with a bunch of RKOs. So he ended up cleaning the house with everybody. And now he just on full crash out mode. So as that's going on and whatnot, and he sees Cena right where he wants him and about to proceed to execute a punt kick yet again, R-Truth out of nowhere gets involved and stop Randy and all that. And Randy was like, yo, you really gonna protect him and everything going on? And R-Truth's like, no, that's a friend. Like, John Cena, he's my hero, you can't do that. Randy will end up hitting R-Truth with an RKO, packed him up. He's done with. So as that's happening now, and Randy about to approach Cena to pretty much finish the job. Cena hits a low blow, as expected. Man grabs the title, goes there, hit Randy Orton with it, go for the pin. The ref somehow got up after being Dana knocked out for the duration of the match, goes in there, hits the 1, hits the 2, hits the 3. Cena retains the title. Now, here's what I don't understand, and this is what pissed me off about how that whole match ended. It's pretty much similar to the same exact finish we got at WrestleMania when John Cena faced Cody Rhodes. Travis Scott got involved. Cody ends up packing him up, and that gave Cena the advantage to low blow Cody Rhodes, hit him with the title, got covered. Same thing happened this time, just only in this case, R-Truth got involved to prevent Orton from preventing him to hitting the punt kick. And R-Truth got an RKO for his troubles. And, of course, Randy took his eye off the ball. Or he gave so much time for Cena to heal up. So then he hit him with a low blow, hit him with a title, and then got the pin off that. Now, I feel like that was lazy booking. Yet again. And we could have had a way better finish. Here's another thing I'm going to bring up as well. Why the fuck we only had 2 referees? At max, it should have been 3. So you mean to tell me after the second ref got knocked out that you had Nick Aldis and the rest of them come out there to check on him when you should have got a third referee to go in there so he can do the pin and all that? Like, I don't understand that. Every other time we had like 3 referees when shit got out of hand and all that, and 2 got packed up. So why now at all times you only have 2 referees in this, and you want to go check up on one and whatnot to make sure they was good and all? Like, I think it's just it didn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. And it goes back to what I said, it was just lazy booking. That's how you could put it, because it was the same execution that happened at WrestleMania, the same exact way. When you had an opportunity to turn it around and make it a little more interesting, and you end up going back to doing the same shit you did at WrestleMania, the same exact way. Like, I'm not a fan of it. I was upset about it. At the match, the pacing was slow, but it did pick up, and The crowd was engaged. I was hyped for it when I was watching it. It was pretty good. But when we got towards the tail end of that match and everything played out the way it did, that's when I had a whole bunch of issues with it. And it needed to be addressed. Because how long are you going to keep this up? Like, I know John Cena stick to his guns and say he's going to ruin wrestling. But we ain't mean it literally. Like, there's so many directions they could have went with this, and this is what we end up getting. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Then at the end of the match, Cena gets the mic and says, cut everything off and let them know, like, y'all couldn't see me, but y'all damn sure gonna listen to me and let me know, take a good look at the last real champion. And that was it. That was it. Now, we thought something else was going to happen where we may potentially get a return Cody Rhodes or anything like that. But once Cena said what he said, through the mic, show was over. So, here we are again with a very good match that we had between the two, but a poor execution to end it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm pissed off at it because they could have did way better, and I thought they would have redeemed themselves after the last shit that happened at WrestleMania, at the main event. And you kind of reciprocate the same thing. So, of course, how are you going to think us fans is going to feel about it? We're going to be upset because it's the same nonsense, the same bullshit time and time again. You have to be better when it comes down to ending main event matches on a good note. Because if you don't do that, shit like this is going to happen. And, of course, a lot of criticism is going to come with it, too. So, I don't know, man. I feel like it could have been executed way better in my eyes. And guess what? We may not see Cena for quite some time now. Unless he ends up going to Saudi Arabia and defending the title, that's going to probably be the end of we're seeing Cena. So, there's that and whatnot. So, one thing I want to say before I conclude all of this, too. There was a backstage press conference that Cena had, and during the duration of that one, R-Truth, I guess, pulled up to check on Cena how he was doing, and as everything was going on, Cena ain't paying him no mind, proceeds to pick up R-Truth and hit the attitude adjustment onto the press conference table, and the man walks off. And now we starting to see, him crash out on R-Truth, that R-Truth looked at him as a childhood hero who admired him, all of that stuff. And then only to get packed up by his childhood hero who just tried to protect him. So we knew it was bound to happen, and we'll see how things turns out come Friday Night SmackDown if Cena makes an appearance or this get brought up. When R-Truth do makes an appearance there and you see Jimmy Uso, we'll see how that whole thing goes down. But that's neither here or there. But this overall, I'll say Backlash was, in my opinion, like a 7 out of 10. I think the first 3 matches definitely delivered, and it was very good. And the last 2, it kind of fell flat. I truly believe that with the Cena and Orton match, the pacing was slow in the beginning, then it picked up, towards the middle, and at the end part, we ended up getting that poor execution. So that's why I ended up saying that this was potentially a 7 out of 10 to me. But yeah, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think about Backlash. What was your favorite matches on there? What y'all like? What you dislike? And whatnot. Also, what's your rating for it? I definitely want to know that in the comments down below. And make sure y'all hit that like button. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so y'all get notified every time I drop content right here on this channel. I appreciate your love and support. Roll to 200 subscribers. Continue to keep God first. Trust the process on anything that you do at life. Your time will come. And I'm going to catch you on the next video. Peace.